hate to interrupt you, Dermot, but we have certain reason to do so because Manchester United have sacked their manager, Erik ten Hag.
Making tough calls is never easy, but letting go of Erik ten Hag might have been the easiest part for Manchester United. Let's be honest, we all saw it coming. The only question was when. But less than a day after his sack, out of nowhere, a new contender stepped into the spotlight, a name we've heard rumours of before.
Today, guys, the big story, the big breaking news. Manchester United have a new manager, and is Ruben Amorim, the replacement for Erik ten Hag.
Yes, Ruben Amorim. But this isn't Amorim's first brush with the Premier League. And why exactly has he emerged as the perfect candidate for the Manchester job? There's more to his story than meets the eye. In today's video, we will discuss why Ruben Amorim is perfect for Manchester United. Manchester United has been through so much since their last great triumph with Sir Alex. The club has gone through a churn of managers like a deck of cards, from the chosen one to the special one, even down to the Dutch ones. Manchester United has seen them all, but one thing they haven't seen is that same era of brilliance and dominance created by Sir Alex. Honestly, they may never relive those days. Fergie's time was absurd. The spirit of fighting, the beautiful attacking, the late days of comebacks, the Champions League triumphs. Boy, it would be hard to replace such a character over just 2 managers. But I am very sure Manchester United never knew that 8 managers and caretakers later, they would still be searching for the dominant one. With Erik ten Hag, it was a rollercoaster of results. There were days in his first season at Manchester when his team just played like they were better than even prime Real Madrid. And there were other days when you just felt like, aren't these guys being paid? This same identity was what they kept displaying throughout their second and third seasons under Erik ten Hag. But in all these, he somehow scaled brilliant results because of individual brilliance. On the big games, shockingly, he dismantled his opponents, and then even went on to win 2 trophies from Newcastle and Manchester City. But even more than the abysmal results, Manchester United lacks something. Identity. To put it into context, Ten Hag's record in all competitions and numbers are as follows. In the Premier League, 44 wins, 14 draws and 17 losses in 85 games. In the FA Cup, 12 games, 9 wins, 2 draws and 2 losses. In Europa, there were 15 games, 8 wins, 5 draws, and in the Champions League, they were utterly displaying piss-poor performances. 6 games, 1 win, 1 draw, and 4 losses. This was a far cry from what anyone ever expected from a big club like Manchester United. There's no excuse for this guy. He spent over 600 million trying to put together an old Ajax squad. Has access to the talent of Bruno, Rashford, Mainu, and Garnacho, and still needs to show a pattern of play or dominant game. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had half his transfer money, Man U would be looking at 1 or 2 major trophies by now. Not being able to deliver hope or good football, Man United, who's in dire need of a fresh breath, decided to go for a more young, trendy, and tactically astute option. But before we dive into why, go ahead and give that like and subscribe button a quick tap. Every now and then, we come across prodigious coaches who are also phenomenal as players, like Don Carlo, Pep Guardiola, and Xabi Alonso. Or those who are excellent players but awful as managers, like Lampard and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Or we come across the even better crux of coaches who weren't much as players but became everything as coaches. And in that list, we find the special one himself, Jose Mourinho. Like the special one, Ruben Amorim wasn't much of a player. But though he had a longer football career than Mourinho, he wasn't what you'd call the cream of the crop. He wasn't the kind to make headlines for flair or fancy footwork. Amorim was exceptional at his position. He had mastered the basics, which is a skill that's easy to overlook, but which every team needs. He started his playing career with Belenenses in 2003. He was with the club for over 5 years until 2008 when he moved to Benfica. At Benfica, he quickly became a reliable midfield player, much like how valuable Busquets was for Barca. In fact, during his time, he contributed to the utter dominance of Benfica in the Portuguese league. Together, they won a series of significant victories, including 3 Primeira Liga championships, 5 Taças de Liga, a Taça de Portugal, and Supertaça Cândido de Oliveira. He was so good for the team that his performances earned him 14 caps for Portugal, including total appearances in the 2010 and 2014 FIFA World Cups. Then, he made another move for a brief stint with Sporting Braga, where he added his final trophy as a player, the Taça da Liga. It is this foundation he quietly built, and the profound effectiveness with which he did it now serves him brilliantly as a manager today. In 2017, at just the age of 32, he finally called it quits on the pitch and took to the dugouts. Just 6 months before his name was linked to Manchester United, before Klopp's departure, there were worries about who his replacement might be. So many names were thrown around that even my head was spinning. But at the top of that list was Ruben Amorim, who ticks every box for the Klopp faithful, but somehow, Ruben Amorim's football style and personality won them over. But as you already know, he didn't move to Merseyside because of his high release clause, which Liverpool wasn't ready to pay for. They later settled for another name, Arne Slot, and to be fair, he has been more than a steal for them so far. But why did Amorim stand out to Liverpool as Liverpool's favourite successor? The answer lies in his first days as manager. Football's transition from its traditional era of hiring old and established coaches to a more young and tactically exciting coach. This was the first thing that made him so attractive to Liverpool. The second thing was his style of play. Most people don't know this, but before Amorim became a football coach, Amorim joined the Lisbon Football Association in order to earn a coaching license. Additionally, he attended a postgraduate course in psychomotor education and spent a week with Jose Mourinho for an internship while Mourinho was still managing Manchester United. If you want to be the best, who's better to learn from than the special one himself? During this learning stage, he picks up one or two things, and with his ideas, he started as a manager in July 2018 at Casa Pia. Although his time with them was relatively short, there was something notable about his time at Casa Pia. According to European football expert Guillem Balag, his coaching career actually began with Casa Pia, which was by then a third-tier club, where it almost ended as soon as it had begun. He lost his first 2 games, and with his pride hurt and doubt setting in, he announced if he lost the 3rd game, he would quit. In the next match, he changed the system and played a back 3 for the first time. The system worked, and from then on, he remained unbeaten at the club. He also felt he had found the formation that allowed him to produce the football he wanted, one invariably linked to the spectacle for fans. From there, he never looked back as he went to Braga and then Sporting. After his transformative 3-4-3 formation at Casa Pia, he had a winning percentage of 75 in just 4 games. Then, in September 2019, he joined Braga's B team as the head coach. With them, he again recorded another high percentage of 72.73 in 11 games, winning 8 and losing just once. Amorim had begun to show his style, so Braga didn't take long to promote him to the first team. What he achieved with the Braga team was also nothing short of phenomenal. Between December 2019 and March 2020, he coached Braga for 13 games, recording 10 wins and only 2 losses. Then Porto and other big clubs came with big offers. Instead of choosing utter dominance, Amorim chose a new challenge instead of going to the most dominant team in the league. He decided to go to Sporting's most prominent rivals, Sporting CP. This was a new challenge for him, as the club paid Braga a whopping 10 million euros, making him the 3rd highest transfer fee for a coach. This would later prove a bargain, as he immediately delivered silverware in his first season of charge. But what made his first silverware all the more special was that he broke the utter dominance of Porto and Benfica in the last 19 years. He secured Sporting CP's first league title in over 19 years in his 2021 campaign, and also earned his 2nd in the 2022-2023 season. But while he was doing all this in the league, he was also tearing up Europe. His win percentage at Sporting is 76.9, and this number often slightly rises to 78.6 in full seasons. In his time at Sporting, his performance with the team has been nothing short of transformative. What Amorim brings to the table is more than just the tactics. But while Amorim was building his resume, Manchester United was ripping up another's. Honestly, it would be a gross understatement to say Old Trafford wasn't tired of Erik ten Hag's performances. But even worse is the fact that he kept coming up with new excuses. Ronaldo doesn't press enough, we need a striker, we need a DM. Blaming the officials and so many others are but just a few of the things he used. But when his excuses could no longer cut it, Manchester United tore up whatever was left of the extended contract and looked outwards towards Portugal's most exciting coach, Ruben Amorim. But how exactly does he fit into Manchester United? The usage of short passing possession games characterise his style of play. He always fields a 3 at the back setup and an aggressive pressing system facilitated by a high defensive line. But all the signs point to the fact that he might change his setup at Manchester United. According to Opta, his most common starting formation is 3-4-2-1 ahead of 3-4-3, with 3-5-2 the only other used. Manchester United has been used to a 4-2-3-1 formation, and this might make Amorim take a while to get his team set up the way he wants. And since Amorim is already used to attack-minded players, Matthijs de Ligt will be the most favoured to start the centre of the defence, while he makes a strong partnership with Lisandro Martinez and Lenny Yoro. In the attack, Amorim's back three becomes a back five when defending, but his wing-backs are primarily attacking weapons, which are responsible for providing width and contributing goals and assists. Think of Tuchel, but with a more attack-minded team. On the wings, while Nusaya Mazraoui and Diogo Dalot are natural fullbacks rather than wingbacks, they're certainly capable of making it to the final third. In the midfield, Ugarte might return to his better days when he played under Amorim at Sporting. Then, he'll also partner with Kobbie Mainoo. Then, in the attack, we are likely to see a more forward Bruno than he was under Ten Hag, and he will join the front three of Rashford, Garnacho and Højlund. The lineup should change due to the presence of Mason Mount, Eriksen, and many other players. Another huge advantage is that Amorim doesn't just win, he also gets the best out of young players. Just look at Victor Gyökeres. Only Højlund can chat about the better goal stats than Gyökeres since last season. Honestly, Gyökeres is similar in profile to Højlund, which means we might see a rise in performance of Rasmus Højlund. There are countless reasons why we believe Ruben Amorim is the perfect fit for Manchester United, but we'd love to hear your thoughts too. Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to check out our next video, where we dive deeper into the tactical changes of other teams.